Hello everyone, Blue Cyber Studios here again with another banger of a video. And today, yes, I know the footage is Side.exe The Darkness this time, but trust me, this video is mainly about becoming a killer still. This is part 2 of the lore analysis video I did. This is part 2 of me explaining every single lore of each of the, well, killers in Become a Killer. Let's not waste any more time and let's get right into the point. Alright, so the next killer that we're going to be talking about some lore about is Corrupted Noob. Now, I think he does actually have some lore, but the only way you can really find out about it is if you're in Harry Rogue's Discord server. I think Corrupted Noob was some kind of servant at one point. Now, considering that, because here's the thing, Become the Killer's Legacy and Become the Killer Recode actually take place in different times. So back in like Legacy era, Corrupted New was like some kind of servant, I believe. Now in Recode, he's like some kind of corrupted overlord or something, corrupted king. I don't know. Maybe his lore would have been changed by then, but that's all I can really find in the Discord server. So that's really the lore about Corrupted Noob. And also, he really, really, really hates 1x, 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 1. And I don't blame him. 1x is a bitch after all. Next up, Goner. Please don't freaking crucify me. I know nothing about Goner's lore. I know Goner is some, like, myth from a popular Roblox YouTube channel by a popular Roblox content creator, but really, I have not watched anything related to Goner, so I don't know jack shit about his lore at all. So, that's all I'm gonna say about Goner, unfortunately. So, yeah. Alright, next killer, John Doe. John Doe is an infamous myth throughout Roblox history. During the 18th of March, I think March 18th, yeah, and March 18th, John Doe will begin to attack Robloxia and begin hacking any sort of game pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much John Doe's lore. He pretty much does absolutely fucking nothing until March 18th arrives, pretty much. So yeah. Alright, next up, Ralph from Identity Fraud. Um, Just like the Stalker from the Stalker Reborn, I know this is also a character from another Roblox game, from which I actually played as well months ago, like I think a year ago, I believe. Identity Fraud. From what I can assume, he's an enemy you encounter eventually. Again, I haven't even got that far into Identity Fraud to begin with. So I don't really know jack shit. I don't really know anything about Ralph or what his lore even is. But for what I can tell, he is an entity you encountered in Identity Fraud, I believe. That's all I can really think, to be honest. So yeah, that's Ralph. Next up, Aoni. Aoni is also known as the Blue Demon, resides around a mansion. Those who enter in said mansion will eventually meet their demise. Therefore, their demise is the Oni himself. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Leatherface. Leatherface is during the films, at least during the original film of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Leatherface resides in a house that is owned by a bunch of cannibals. Those who enter inside such house will eventually, end up being killed and will become, let's just say, not only will their skins and such become most likely furniture and such, but let's just say their meat will also be Leatherface and his family's food. And of course, Leatherface wears the face of the victims, of course. Of course, there were recent victims that happened during the events of. There were recent victims that were ended up killed during the events of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Luckily, one survivor did escape. Unfortunately, the others eventually met their demises. But yeah, if you guys watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, you pretty much would already know the lore of Out Leatherface. I'm just explaining the lore about the original movie, at least. Next up, SCP-049, also known as the Plague Doctor. Um, I don't know much about his lore, to be honest. All I can say is that, well, he's a Plague Doctor that can pretty much cause some very bad deaths, specifically through just by touching them, pretty much. And not only that, he also has some kind of like thing. He also has some kind of like issue with this so-called and some kind of thing called a pestilence or some shit. And not to mention, he can also cause people to become reanimated corpses as well. But that's all I could really give about SCP-049 because I don't know anything about him. I really gotta read the fucking SCP wars of these guys someday. The next killer, the Wendigo. We don't know anything about the Wendigo, but considering it's a Wendigo, he's most likely an urban legend at this point, so that's all. Next up, Smile Dog. Smile Dog is a evil demonic dog that not only makes people to, well, unalive themselves by causing them to go insane, however, he also wants people to spread the word. Next killer, Griever. Griever, just like some other original, killers, except for like Corrupted Noob, I believe, we don't know anything about Griever. So, yeah. Next up is the Shy Guy, also known as SCP-096. SCP-096 is an extremely dangerous anomaly. Those who dare to look at his face even look at pictures or video footages that reveal his face. Yes, even that will piss him off. If any of those scenarios end up triggering SCP-096, SCP-096 will go absolutely ballistic. First, he will begin throwing a massive temper tantrum before he starts going after the one who saw his face. No matter where you are, no matter how far you are, you could be literally across the other side of the world. He will find you eventually, and he will kill you. He will rip your face off. Alright, next killer, Supersonic.exe. It's just Sonic.exe, but super form. Next up, The Witch. Um, we don't know jack shit about her. Well, yeah, we pretty much just don't even know anything about the witch, so skip. Next up, Dweller, also known as the Man from the Fog. Now, considering this is really just the Man from the Fog from, well, the Minecraft horror mod with the same name, we don't really know much about his origin, other than where he exists in. The Man from the Fog is a unknown entity that exists within a different dimension called, well, the fog. But that's really all we know about this creature. We don't really know anything else about his origin except like where he resides in. But that's all I can really give out information about the Dweller. Fiend. Now, I don't really know much about Fiend's origin or lore, but I do know some things about Fiend, mainly from the Discord server and possibly from the game itself. So, Fiend is like some kind of manifestation of multiple people's like souls or spirits, which I guess that's why it formed this sort of body. I guess that's why it has multiple faces around its body. Not to mention, when you actually play as Fiend, you get a message from some kind of deity or something called the Void or something, commanding you to kill the survivors. So clearly, this manifestation has something to do with some kind of unknown god that resides in the void or something like that. Then again, we don't know much about that, but he's quite an interesting one to even think about. Next killer, Personoid. Isn't it just yourself, but evil and corrupted? Yeah, I thought so. Next up is Fuck You. And last and unleashed, the last killer to talk about, the Slender Man. Now, the Slender Man is a tall and lanky and pale man with no face. Nothing is known much about the Slender Man other than he resides in a dark forest and he tends to take away children and such as the children never return. Slenderman is also known for having certain people who obey his bidding, or in that case, the proxies. But that's pretty much all we really know about Slenderman and his lores and such. And yeah, that's pretty much all the lore about. That's pretty much part two of, well, that's pretty much it for all the lores of each of the different killers. Now, I could do lores about the survivors next, but I don't know when I decide to do that. However, I know there's gonna be like possibly some future killers and such being added in, become the killer soon, in the future and all that. Because recode. So if there's a possibility, I can definitely do a part three about talking about the killer's lore. Again, I'm gonna have to wait on that though because that's really all the killers I can talk about now. But hey, in the future, if there's like a lot more killers added in sooner, I can definitely talk about more killers and possibly their lore and such. But yeah, if I ever talk about lore related stuff about BAK again, I might as well go on about the survivors. But yeah, that's all I can say. Hope you guys enjoy. Peace out.